Hare Krishna Prabhuji, why are you not talking?
Hare Krishna, wait. Hare Krishna Manath, ready?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Ready, ji.
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
On his way to Vrindavan, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the forest of Jharikhanda and made all the tigers, elephants, deers, birds chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and dance. Thus, all these animals are overrun by ecstatic love. ठीक है चलो Manath will read for some time.
Okay, Prabhu. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to Ramananda Raya and Swarupa Damodara Goswami. The Lord requested Ramananda Raya and Swarupa Damodara Goswami to help him go to Vrindavana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I shall leave early in the morning and go incognito, taking the road through the forest. I shall go alone. I shall not take anyone with me. If someone wants to follow me, please stop him. I don't want anyone to go with me. Please give me your permission with great pleasure and do not be unhappy. If you are happy, I shall be happy on my way to Vrindavana. Upon hearing this, Ramananda Raya and Swarupa Damodara Goswami replied, Dear Lord, you are completely independent. Since you are not dependent on anyone, You will do whatever you desire. Dear Lord, kindly hear our one petition. You have already said that you will derive happiness from our happiness. This is your own statement. If you will please accept just one request. We shall be very, very happy. Prabhuji, you can scroll up.
Yeah.
Our Lord, please take one very nice Brahmana with you. He will collect alms for you, cook for you, give your prasadam, and carry your water pot while traveling. When you go through the jungle, there will be no Brahmana available from whom you can accept floods. Therefore, please give permission for at least one pure Brahmana to accompany you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I shall not take any of my associates with me, because if I choose someone, all the others will be unhappy. Such a person must be a new man, and he must have a peaceful mind. If I can obtain such a man, I shall agree to take him with me. Swarup, Swarupa Damodara then said, Here, here is Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who has great love for you. He is an honest, learned scholar, and he is advanced in spiritual consciousness. In big name, he came with you from Bengal. It is his desire to visit and see all the holy places of pilgrimage. In addition, you may take another Brahmana who will act as a servant en route and make arrangements for your food. If you can also take him with you, we will be very happy. If two people go with you through the jungle, we will certainly be no difficulty or inconvenience. The other Brahmana can carry your clothes and water pot, and Balabhadra Bhattacharya will collect alms and cook for you. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the request of Swarupa Damodara Pandita and agreed to take Balabhadra Bhattacharya with him. On the previous night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited Lord Jagannatha and taken his permission. Now, near the end of the night, the Lord got up and started immediately. He was not seen by others. Because the Lord had departed, the devotees, unable to see him early in the morning, began to search him with great anxiety. While all the devotees were searching for the Lord, Swarupa Damodara restrained them. Then everyone fell silent. Knowing the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord abandoned walking on well-known public road and went instead along a bypass. He thus kept the city of Kataka on his right and as he entered the forest. When the Lord passed through the solitary forest, chanting the holy name of Krishna, the tigers and elephants, seeing him, gave away. When the Lord passed through the jungle in great ecstasy, packs of tigers, elephants, rhinoceros, and boars came, and Lord passed right through them. Balabhadra Bhattacharya was very much afraid to see them, but by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's influence, all the animals stood to one side. One day, a tiger was lying on the path, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, walking along the path in ecstatic love, touched the tiger with his feet. The Lord said, Chant the holy name of Krishna. The tiger immediately got up and began to dance and to chant, Krishna, Krishna. Another day, while Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was bathing in a river, a herd of maddened elephants came there to drink water. While the Lord was bathing and murmuring the Gayatri mantra, the elephants came before him. The Lord immediately splashed some water on the elephants and asked them to chant the name of Krishna. The elephants, whose bodies were touched by water splashed by the Lord, began to chant Krishna, Krishna, and dance and sing in ecstasy. Some of the elephants fell to the ground and some screamed in ecstasy. Seeing this, Balabhadra Bhattacharya was completely astonished. Sometimes, oh, um, sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted very loudly while passing through the jungle. Hearing his sweet voice, all the doors came near him. Hearing the Lord's great vibration, all the doors followed him the left and right. While reciting a verse with great curiosity, the Lord patted them. Blessed are these foolish deer, because they have approached Maharaja's Nanda's son, who is gorgeously dressed and is playing on his flute. Indeed, both the does and bucks worshipped the Lord with looks of love and affection. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was passing through the lecture, 5 or 7 tigers came. Joining the deer, the tigers began to follow the Lord. Seeing tigers and deer following him, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately remembered the land of Vrindavana. He then began to recite a verse. Where is it, Prabhuji? I lost it. Remember. He then began to recite a verse describing the transcendental quality of Vrindavana. Vrindavana is the transcendental abode of the Lord. There is no hunger, anger, or thirst there. Though naturally inimical, human beings and fierce animals live together there in transcendental friendship. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Chant Krishna, Krishna," the tigers and deers began to chant Krishna and dance. When all the tigers and does danced and jumped, Balabhadra Bhattacharya saw them and was struck with wonder. Indeed, the tigers and deer began to embrace one another on touching mouths. They began to kiss. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw all this fun, he began to smile. Finally, he left the animals and continued on his way. Various birds, including the peacock, saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to follow him, chanting and dancing. We were all maddened by the holy name of Krishna. When the Lord loudly chanted, Hari Bol, the trees and creepers became jubilant to hear him. Thus, all living entities in forest of Jharkhand, some moving and some standing still, became maddened by hearing the holy name of Lord Krishna vibrated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna Manan. Okay, now somebody else on Lila over. Lord Chaitanya going through Jharikanda forest. So what is happening? You see, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. He can do this. Krishna means Akashiti iti Krishna. Krishna means he attracts everybody. So people are totally wonderstruck by the sweet chanting. Take care. Who would like to read? Anybody would like to read? Manat, give somebody chance. 47 shloka onward.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Manat.
Hare Krishna Mata.
In all the villages through which the Lord passed and in all the places he rested on his journey, everyone was purified and awakened to ecstatic love of God. When someone heard the chanting of the holy name from the mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and someone else heard this chanting from that second person, and someone again heard this chanting from the third person, everyone in all countries became a Vaishnava through such disciplic succession. Thus, everyone chanted the holy name of Krishna and Hari, and they danced, cried, and smiled. The Lord did not always manifest his ecstasy. Being afraid of the great assembly of people, the Lord kept his ecstasy concealed. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manifest his natural ecstatic love, everyone became a pure devotee simply by seeing and hearing him. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally toured Bengal, East Bengal, Orissa, and the southern countries, and he delivered all kinds of people by spreading Krishna consciousness. Then, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Jarikanda on his way to Mathura, he found that the people there were almost uncivilized and were devoid of God consciousness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave even the Bhils an opportunity to chant the holy name and come to the platform of ecstatic love. Thus, he delivered all of them, who has the power to understand the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through the Jarikanda forest, he took it for granted that it was Vrindavana. When he passed over the hills, he took it for granted that they were Govardhana. Similarly, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a river, he immediately accepted it as the river Yamuna. Thus, while in the forest, he was filled with great ecstatic love, and he danced and fell down crying. Along the way, Balabhadra Bhattacharya collected all kinds of spinach, roots, and fruits whenever possible. Whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited a village, a few brahmanas, 5 or 7, would come and extend invitation to the Lord. Some people would bring grains and deliver it to Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Others would bring milk and yogurt, and still others would bring ghee and sugar. In some villages, there were no brahmanas. Nonetheless, devotees born in a non-brahmana family came and extended invitations to Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Balabhadra Bhattacharya used to cook all kinds of vegetables gathered from the forest, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to accept these preparations. Balabhadra Bhattacharya used to keep a stock of food grains that would last for 2 to 4 days. Where there were no people, he would cook the grains and prepare vegetables, spinach, roots, and fruits collected from the forest. The Lord was always very happy to eat these forest vegetables, and he was even happier when he had an opportunity to stay in solitary place. Balabhadra Bhattacharya was so affectionate to the Lord that he was rendering service just like a menial servant. His assistant, Brahmana, carried the water pot and garments. The Lord used to bathe 3 times a day in warm water of the waterfalls. He also used to heat himself morning and evening with a fire made with a limitless wood. While traveling in the secluded forest and feeling very happy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the following statement. My dear Bhattacharya, I have traveled very far through the village, through the forest, and I have not even slightly received any trouble. Krishna is very merciful, especially to me. He has shown his mercy by bringing me on this path through the forest. Thus, he has given me great pleasure. Before this, I decided to go to Vrindavana and on the way see my mother, the river Ganges, and other devotees once again. The thought that once again I would see and meet all the devotees and take them with me to Vrindavana. Thus, I so- went to Bengal, and I was very happy to see my mother, the river Ganges, and the devotees. However, when I started from Vrindavana, many thousands and millions of people gathered and began to go with me. In this way, I was going to Vrindavana with a big crowd, but through the mouth of Sanatana, Krishna taught me a lesson. Thus, by making some impediment, he has brought me to Vrindavana on the path through the forest. Krishna is an ocean of mercy. He is especially merciful to the poor and fallen. Without his mercy, there is no possibility of happiness. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Balabhadra Bhattacharya and told him, "It is only by your kindness and that I am now so happy." Balabhadra Bhattacharya replied, "My dear Lord, you are Krishna himself, and therefore you are merciful. I am a fallen living entity, but, but you have bestowed a great favor upon me. Sir, I am most fallen, yet you have brought me with you, showing great mercy. You have accepted food prepared by me. You have made me your carrier, Garuda, although I am no better than a condemned crow. Thus, you are the independent personality of Godhead, the original Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchidananda Vigraha, transcendental bliss, knowledge, and eternity. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him who turns the dumb into eloquent speaker and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. In this way, Balabhadra Bhattacharya offered his prayers to the Lord by rendering service unto him in ecstatic love and pacified the Lord's mind. Finally, the Lord arrived with great happiness at the holy place called Kashi. There he took his bath in the bathing ghat known as Manikarnika. At that time, Tapana Mishra was taking his bath in the Ganges, and he was astonished to see the Lord there. Tapana Mishra then began to think, I have heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted that pronounced order. Thinking this, Tapana Mishra became very jubilant within his heart. He then clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. The Lord raised him up and embraced him. Tapana Mishra then took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to visit the temple of Vishveshwara. Coming from there, they saw the lotus feet of Lord Bindu Madhava. With great pleasure, Tapana Mishra brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and rendered service unto him. Indeed, he began to dance, waving his cloth. He washed the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and afterwards he and his whole family drank the washed water. He also worshipped Balabhadra Bhattacharya and showed him respect. Tapana Mishra invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take lunch at his home, and he had Balabhadra Bhattacharya cook. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his rest after lunch, the son of Tapana Mishra named Raghu used to massage his legs. The remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were taken by the whole family of Tapana Mishra. When news spread that the Lord had come, Chandrasekhara came to see him. Chandrasekhara happened to be a friend of Tapana Mishra's, and he was long known to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his servant. He was a physician by caste, and by profession he was a clerk. At the time, he was living in Varanasi. When Chandrasekhara came there, he fell down before the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to cry. The Lord, standing up, embraced him out of his causeless mercy. Chandrasekhara said, My dear Lord, you have bestowed your causeless mercy upon me because I am your old servant. Indeed, you have come here personally to give me your audience. Due to my past deeds, I am residing at Varanasi, but here I do not hear anything but the words of Maya and Brahman. Chandrasekhara continued, There is no talk of Varanasi other than discussions on the six philosophical theses. Nonetheless, Tapana Mishra has been very kind to me, for he speaks about topics relating to Lord Krishna. My dear Lord, we too think of your lotus feet incessantly. Although you are the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have granted us your audience. My Lord, I have heard that you are going to Vrindavana. Please stay here at Varanasi for some days and deliver us, for we are your true servants. Tapana Mishra then said, My dear Lord, as long as you stay at Varanasi, please do not accept any invitation other than mine. Even though he had not made such a plan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained for 10 days at Varanasi, being obligated by the request of his two servants. At Varanasi, there was a Maharashtrian Brahmana who used to come daily to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This Brahmana was simply astonished to see the Lord's personal beauty and ecstatic love for Krishna. When the Brahmanas of Varanasi would invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to lunch, the Lord would not accept their invitation. He would reply, I have already been invited somewhere else. Every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused their invitations because he feared associating with Mayavadi sannyasis. There was, there was a great Mayavadi sannyasi named Prakashananda Saraswati who used to teach Vedanta philosophy to the great assembly of followers. A Brahmana who saw the wonderful behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Prakashananda Saraswati and described the Lord's characteristics. The Brahmana told Prakashananda Saraswati, There is a sannyasi who has come from Jagannathapuri, and I cannot describe his wonderful influence and glories. Everything is wonderful about that sannyasi. He has a very well built and luxuriant body, and his complexion is like purified gold. He has an arm that extends to his knees, and his eyes are like the petals of lotus. In his person, in his person are all the transcendental symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one sees all these features, one takes him to be Narayana himself. Whoever sees him immediately begins to chant the holy name of Krishna. We have heard about the symptoms of the first class devotee in Srimad Bhagavatam, and all those symptoms are manifest in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His tongue is always chanting the holy name of Krishna, and from his eyes tears incessantly fall like the flowing Ganges. Sometimes he dances, laughs, sings, and cries, and sometimes he roars like a lion. His name, Krishna Chaitanya, is all auspicious for the world. Everything about him, his name, form, and qualities are unparalleled. Simply by seeing him, one understands that he possesses all the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such characteristics are certainly uncommon. Who will believe it? Prakashanandana Saraswati laughed very much to hear this description. Joking and laughing at the Brahmana, he began to speak as follows. Prakashanandana Saraswati said, "Yes, I've heard about him. He is a sannyasi from Bengal, and he is very sentimental. I have also heard that he belongs to the Bharati Sampradaya, for he is a disciple of Keshava Bharati. However, he is only a pretender." Prakasha Saraswati continued, "I know that his name is Chaitanya and that he is accompanied by many sentimentalists. His followers dance with him, and he tours from country to country and village to village. Whoever sees him accepts him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, since he has some mystic powers by which he hypnotizes people. Everyone who sees him becomes illusioned." Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a very learned scholar, but I have heard that he also has become a madman due to his association with this Chaitanya. This Chaitanya is a sannyasi in name only. Actually, he is a first class magician. In any case, his sentimentalism cannot be very much in demand here in Kashi. Do not go to see Chaitanya. Just continue hearing Vedanta. If you associate with upstarts, you will be lost in this world and in the next. When the Brahmana heard Prakash, Prakashananda Saraswati speak like this about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very much grief-stricken. Chanting the holy name of Krishna, he immediately left. The mind of the Brahmana was already purified by his seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and described what had taken place before the Mayavadi sannyasi Prakashananda. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mildly smiled. The Brahmana then spoke again to the Lord. The Brahmana said, "As soon as I uttered your name before him, he immediately confirmed the fact that he knew your name. While finding faults with you, he uttered your name 3 times, saying, 'Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya.' Although he spoke your name 3 times, he did not utter the name Krishna. Because he uttered your name in contempt, I was very much aggrieved. Why could Prakashananda not utter the name Krishna and Hari? He chanted the name Chaitanya thrice. As far as I am concerned, simply by seeing you, I am moved to chant the holy name Krishna and Hari." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "The Mayavadi impersonalists are great offenders unto Lord Krishna. Therefore, they simply utter the word Brahman, Atma, and Chaitanya. Because they are offenders unto Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is identical with his holy name, the holy name Krishna does not manifest in their mouths. The Lord's holy name, his form, and his personality are all one and the same. There is no difference between them since all of them are absolute. They are all transcendently blissful. There is no difference between Krishna's body and himself or between his name and himself. But as far as the conditioned soul is concerned, one's name is different from one's body, from one's original form, and so on. The holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benediction, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete, and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, there is no question of it being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. The holy name of Krishna.
Just wait, Mataji. It's a very famous verse. Nama Chintamani Krishna. We can read this verse.
Yes.
Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namina. Abhinatvam. Now, one person name you take, it is different from the person, but Krishna name and Krishna is same. That is one point. Second thing is the Prakashan this Saraswati will be delivered very soon. Mayavadi sannyasis is the problem. Why we call them Mayavadi? Because they consider God is also Maya. So it's very painful to hear. For them, supreme is some power, energy, light, Brahman. They don't accept person as God. And that's a major conception today in society. Even after Gita 18 course, I asked them a question, final quiz. God is energy person. Even after 18 days, and all the teachers are pressing every day that God is a person, they still write 50% God is the energy. It's a deep-rooted, confusion in society. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally avoided. He used to not accept invitations from Mayavadis. They don't want to sit with Mayavadi because they're offenders. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mayavadi Krishna Aparadi. Who says God comes under Maya, definitely an offender to God. So we don't want to sit with them or closely associate with them. And here you can see its offensiveness is shown. Even though a pious person said, I saw Lord Chaitanya is so beautiful, it dances in ecstasy. He's just a madman. And I don't know why Saram Bhattacharya was in Vedanta circles, Shankaracharya followers, considered a great scholar. But he became a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you know that. Right? So Prakash, yeah. I don't know what happened to him. He has made him also mad. He just bhavuka, just a bhavuka, which is actually a very...
Therefore, he thinks Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a magician.
Yeah, magician. See, if you can always, when you get envious, you can fail to recognize person's greatness. That's the problem. Okay, so this is 134. Now you want to give Mataji, somebody can have a chance.
Yes, sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Niharika Mataji.
The holy name of Krishna is his body and his pastimes cannot be understood by the blunt material senses. They are manifested independently. Krishna's holy name, his transcendental qualities, his transcendental pastimes are all equal to Lord Krishna himself. They are all full of bliss. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name for qualities and pastimes. When a conditional soul is awakened to Krishna's consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of Lord's food, the tongue is purified and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna is. The mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes, which are full of bliss, attract the jnanis from the pleasure of Brahman, realization, and conquer him. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, the son of Vyasadeva, Sukadeva, Goswami. It is he who defeats all inauspicious things within this universe. Although in the beginning,
he was absorbed in the happiness of Brahman realization and was living in a scheduled place, giving up all other types of consciousness. He became attracted by the most melodious pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. He therefore mercifully spoke the supreme Purana known as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the bright light of the absolute truth and which describes the activities of Lord Krishna. The transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna.
Wait.
The transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna.
Please wait.
The holy name of Krishna.
Please wait. Let us understand. He is running like a train. So the holy name of Krishna, Chaitanya was explaining why Prakashanda is not able to chant the name of Krishna. So he says he's an offender. So because it's an offender to the Lord, holy name is not different from him. So he cannot taste it. See, when you chant Hare Krishna, you cannot chant every day unless you get taste. Therefore, we avoid the 10 offenses. 10 offices are avoided, then we can chant sweetly. The holy name of Krishna is body, past tense, cannot be understood abundantly. They are manifested independently. All equal to this. Therefore, material sense cannot approach Krishna's holy name and conditions. Now, this is the shloka from Bhagavatam 138. Swasuka nivrita chetasa tad vyudastanya bhavo api ajita ruchira lilakshita sarastadiyam vyatanuta kripayas yastvat deepam puranam tamakali brijanagnanam vyasa shunam nato asmi. This is from Bhagavatam 12:12-69. Let me offer as for obeisance spiritual master son of Vyasa, Shukadeva Goswami. It is he who defeats all inhospitable things within the universe. All in the beginning, he was absorbed in the happiness of Brahman realization, living in a separate place, giving up all other kinds of consciousness. We get attracted to the most melodious passion of the Lord Shri Krishna. He therefore mercifully spoke the supreme Purana of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is as bright light as Pluto, but describes the activity of the Lord Krishna. So the glorification. Okay. Yes, Father, you continue. Hare Krishna, continue. 1, 2. Mana.
He got muted, Prabhuji. The voice is not clear, Prabhuji.
Is my voice now clear, Manath?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so I'll continue from text 139.
Yes, ma'am.
The transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna are completely blissful and relishable. Consequently, Lord Krishna's qualities attract even the minds of self-realized persons from the bliss of self-realization. Those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendentally attractive features. Apart from the pastimes of Lord Krishna, when tulsi leaves are offered at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, even the aroma of leaves attract the minds of self-realized persons. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves and saffron from the lotus feet of the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead entered through the nostrils into the heart of those sages, the Kumaras, they experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to impersonal Brahman understanding. Because the Mayavadis are great offenders and atheistic philosophers, the holy name of Krishna does not come from their mouths.
Okay, let us understand. This 140th is the famous verse, Bhagavatam verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgantu Urukame Kuruvanti Hetu Gimbukti Vittam Bhuta Guru Hari. Very clear. This will be discussed by Lord Chaitanya and with Prakash and Saraswati when they'll meet for discussion. Now this is the friend 4 Kumaras went to Vaikuntha to see the Lord on the way because the Jaya Vijaya 7th gate. When they actually finally saw Narayana, they saw the beauty of Krishna and the aroma of the tulsi leaves and saffron from lotus feet entered their nostrils. And they so much spiritual ecstasy they got, they went into spiritual platform from the so-called Mayavada platform. Okay, they became Krishna Bhakta just by smelling the tulsi offered to the lotus feet. Yeah, next.
I have come here to sell my emotional ecstatic sentiments in this city of Kashi, but I cannot find any customers. If they are not sold, I must take them back home. I have bought a heavy load to sell in this city. To take it back again is very difficult job. Therefore, if I get but a fraction of price, I shall sell it here in the city of Kashi. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the Brahmana as his devotee. The next morning, rising very early, the Lord started for Mathura. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Mathura, all 3 devotees started to go with him. But the Lord forbade them to accompany him. And from a distance, he asked them to return home. Feeling separation from the Lord, the 3 used to meet and glorify the holy qualities of the Lord. Thus, they were absorbed in ecstatic love. Shri
So now
Chaitanya.
three. What are three? Tapan Mishra, Chandrasekhar Acharya, and this Brahmana who went to meet Prakash and Saraswati and heard the offense. Correct? The three became devotees. Chandrasekhar Acharya, Tapan Mishra already knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his early part of life in Mayapur. There is great devotees. And this Brahmana is a new acquaintance. He has come to know and he is very happy in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. And he knows Mayavad is simply offending him. Okay, so they used to glorify. Okay, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to prayer.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Prayaga, where he bathed at the confluence of Ganges and the Yamuna. He then visited the temple of Veni Madhava and chanted and danced there in ecstatic love. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the river Yamuna, he threw himself into it. Balabhadra Bhattacharya hastily caught the Lord and very carefully raised him up again. The Lord stayed at Prayaga for 3 days. He delivered the holy name of Krishna and ecstatic love. Thus, he delivered many people. Wherever the Lord stopped to rest on the way to Mathura, he delivered the holy name of Krishna and ecstatic love of Krishna. Thus, he made the people dance. When the Lord touched South India, he delivered many people and he traveled in the western sector. He similarly converted many people to Vaishnavism. While the Lord was going to Mathura, he came across the river Yamuna several times. And as soon as he saw river Yamuna, he would immediately jump in, falling unconscious in the water in the ecstasy of love of Krishna. When he approached Mathura and saw the city, he immediately fell to the ground and offered obeisances with great ecstatic love. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the city of Mathura, he took his bath at Vishrama Ghata. He then visited the birthplace of Krishna and saw a deity named Keshavaji. He offered his respectful obeisances to this deity. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted, danced, and made loud vibrations, all the people were astonished to see this ecstatic love. One Brahmana fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then began to dance with him in ecstatic love. The two of them danced in ecstatic love and embraced each other, raising their arms. They said, chant the holy name of Hari and Krishna. All the people then began to chant Hari, Hari, and there was a great uproar. The priest in the Lord Keshava's service offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a garland. When the people saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting, they were struck with wonder, and they all said, such transcendental love is never an ordinary thing. The people said, simply by seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone is maddened with love of Krishna. Indeed, everyone is laughing, crying, dancing, chanting, and taking the holy name of Krishna. Certainly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in all respects the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Now he has come to Mathura to deliver everyone. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the Brahmana side. Sitting in a solitary place, the Lord began to question him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you are an elderly Brahmana, you are sincere, and you are advanced in spiritual life. Where from you have gotten this transcendental opulence of ecstatic love for Krishna? The Brahmana replied, His Holiness Srila Madhavendra Puri rendered him service. That very deity is still being worshipped at Govardhana hill.
Wait. Kahan se jump ho gaya? Okay, see, Madhavendra Puri replied. Madhavendra Puri came to the city of Mathura where he was in the crew. 166.
The Brahmana replied, His Holiness Srila Madhavendra Puri came to the city of Mathura while he was on a tour. While at Mathura, Sripada Madhavendra Puri visited my house and accepted me as a disciple. He even took lunch at my home. After installing the deity of Gopala, Srila Madhavendra Puri rendered him service. That very deity is still being worshipped at Govardhana hill. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard about Madhavendra Puri's relationship with the Brahmana, he immediately offered obeisances at his feet, becoming fearful. The Brahmana also immediately fell at the Lord's feet. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you are on the platform of my spiritual master and I am your disciple. Since you are my spiritual master, it is not befitting that you offer me obeisances. Upon hearing this, the Brahmana became afraid. He then said, "Why do you speak like this? You are a sannyasi. Upon seeing your ecstatic love, I can just imagine that you must have some relationship with Madhavendra Puri. This is my understanding. This kind of ecstatic love can be experienced only when one has a relationship with Madhavendra Puri. Without him, even a scent of such transcendental ecstatic love is impossible." Balabhadra Bhattacharya then explained the relationship between Madhavendra Puri and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After hearing this, the Brahmana became very pleased and began to dance. The Brahmana
Just wait. Let me just explain. See what happens, the ecstatic love you cannot get unless you met an advanced devotee. Chaitanya Prabhu saw this is not sentimental. When he was dancing in the Keshavati temple, even now the Adi Keshav temple is there in Mathura. So when he was dancing, one Brahmana came, elderly Brahmana, touched her feet, and also started dancing like Chaitanya Prabhu danced in love. Chaitanya was surprised. Who is this person? Then after that, people, Chaitanya Prabhu took the Brahmana aside. He said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm a disciple of Madhavendra Puri." Now Chaitanya Prabhu's guru is Ishwar Puri. Ishwar Puri's guru is Madhavendra Puri. If somebody is a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, that becomes like a guru for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, he accepted, "You are like my guru." You all understand? So therefore, this goes on. Okay? Therefore, Balabhadra Bhattacharya then explained to him for the relation Madhavendra Puri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, he became. So Madhavendra Puri is the one who brought ecstatic love of Krishna within our sampradaya. Yeah. Then that Brahmana brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu home. Correct.
The Brahmana then took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and out of his own free will began to serve the Lord in various ways. He asked Balabhadra Bhattacharya to cook Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lunch. At that time, the Lord smiling spoke as follows. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Madhavendra Puri has already taken lunch at your place. Therefore, you may cook and give me the food. That is my instruction. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues." The Brahmana belonged to the Sanodiya Brahmana community, and a sannyasi does not accept food from such Brahmana.
Okay, now let us understand. Even though he is a Brahmana, there are some Brahmanas are Karmakandi Brahmana. Prabhupada will give a purport explanation. This Karmakandi Brahmanas are not very respected. Okay? You see that? These are all Brahmanas who are engaged in the rituals. Okay? You see that? The priests to guide the Kalvarkars and Sanvadas, these are mostly Karmakandis. So they are not very respected. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, technically speaking, previously what used to happen, Brahmanas are actually following Brahminical culture. If you say you meet a Brahmana, Chaitanya went to a village, if there is no Brahmana, they were actually qualified. Not like today, simply 500 years ago, situation was much better. Not like today, simply rubber stamp on the head. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, generally they will not accept food from such houses. But Madhavendra Puri has accepted. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, I'll definitely accept. Because my guru's guru has accepted food at your house." Otherwise, he asked Balabhadra Bhattacharya, "You cook. I'm not qualified to cook for the Lord because I don't have those principles in me." Chaitanya said, "No, you cook because my grand guru ate at your place. I'm also going to eat at your place." Okay? And anyway, he's a great devotee. Birth should not be a criteria. Okay, now somebody else can take a chance from verse 180.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Leela Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu willingly requested food. One moment, I can't see properly.
And the Brahmana.
Sorry, I can see now here. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu willingly requested food from the Brahmana, and the Brahmana, feeling natural humility, began to speak as follows. Great fortune to me to offer you food. You are the Supreme Lord, and being in the transcendental position, you are not restricted in any way. Foolish people will blaspheme you, but I shall not tolerate the words of such mischievous people. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, The Vedas, Puranas, and the great learned sages are not always in agreement with one another. Consequently, there are different religious principles. A devotee's behavior establishes true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. After this discussion, the Brahmana served lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then all the people residing in Mathura came to see the Lord. People came by the hundreds of thousands, and no one could count them. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out of the house to give audience to the people. When the people assembled, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his arms and said very loudly, Hari Bol. The people responded to the Lord and became ecstatic. As if mad, they began to dance and to vibrate the transcendental sound Hari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the 24-hour ghats along the banks of the Yamuna, and the Brahmana showed him all the places of pilgrimage. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited all the holy places on the banks of the Yamuna, including Swayambhu, Vishrama Ghata, Dirgha Vishnu, Bhuteshwara, Mahavidya, and Gokarna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see the various forests of Vrindavana, he took the Brahmana with him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the different forests, including Madhuvana, Talavana, Kumudavana, and Bahulavana. Wherever he went, he took his bath with great ecstatic love. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Vrindavana, herds of grazing cows saw him pass and immediately surrounding him began to move very loudly. Seeing the herds approach him, the Lord was stunned with ecstatic love. The cows then began to lick his body out of great affection. Becoming pacified, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to caress the cows, and the cows, being unable to give up his company, went with him. It was only with great difficulty that the cowherd men were able to keep the cows back. Then, when the Lord chanted, all the deer heard his sweet voice and approached him. When the does and the bucks came and saw the Lord's face, they began to lick his body. Not being at all afraid of him, they accompanied him along the path. Bumblebees and birds like the parrot and cuckoo all began to sing loudly on the fifth note, and the peacocks began to dance in front of the Lord. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the trees and creepers of Vrindavana became jubilant. Their twigs stood up and they began to shed tears of ecstasy in the form of honey. The tree branches and creepers, overloaded with fruits and flowers, fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and greeted him with various representations as if they were friends. Thus, all the moving and non moving living entities of Vrindavana became very jubilant to see the Lord. It was as if friends were made happy by seeing another friend. Seeing their affection, the Lord was moved by ecstatic love. He began to sport with them exactly as a friend sports with his friends. Thus, he voluntarily came under the control of his friends. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to embrace each and every tree and creeper, and they began to offer their fruits and flowers as if in meditation. The Lord's body was restless, and tears, trembling, and jubilation were manifest. He said very loudly, Chant Krishna, chant Krishna. All moving and non-moving creatures then began to vibrate the transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, as if they were echoing the deep sound of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord then clasped the necks of the deer and began to cry. There was jubilation manifest in the bodies of the deer, and tears were in their eyes. When a male and female parrot appeared on the branches of a tree, the Lord saw them and wanted to hear them speak. Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna, and the Lord listened to them.
So
The
now,
male
what is
parrot.
happening? Chaitanya, Vrindavan is actually not different from the spiritual world. So it's a dham, just like deities. Lord Chaitanya saw Jagannath Puri fainted. Nothing happens to us. Similarly, dham is also non-different. Deity is non-different from Krishna. Dham is also non-different. For Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dham is as good as Vrindavan, and it's true. So the whole, just like Krishna used to leave home and go to Vrindavan, whole forest used to welcome him every day. Same way, whole forest of Vrindavan is welcoming Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All birds, animals, everybody is welcoming Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then now there's a beautiful discussion of the parrots.
Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna, and the Lord listened to them. The male parrot sang.
What do we do, Mana? We continue tomorrow. It's not small. How much we have remaining? Let us see. Oh, it's about to finish. We can finish, Mother. We continue.
Okay, thank you. The male parrot sang, the glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavana, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhana hill into a small toy-like ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe. After hearing this description of Lord Krishna from the male parrot, the female parrot began to recite a description of Srimati Radharani. The female parrot said, Srimati Radharani's affection, her exquisite beauty and good behavior, her artistic dancing and chanting, and her poetic compositions are all so attractive that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe. Therefore, the male parrot said, Krishna is the enchanter of the mind of Cupid. He then began to recite another verse. The male parrot then said, My dear female parrot, Sri Krishna carries a flute and enchants the hearts of all women throughout the universe. He is specifically the enjoyer of the beautiful gopis, and he is the enchanter of Cupid also. Let him be glorified. Then the female parrot began to speak jokingly to the male parrot, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was struck with wonderful ecstatic love to hear her speak. The female parrot said, When Lord Sri Krishna is with Radharani, he is the enchanter of Cupid. Otherwise, when he is alone, he himself is enchanted by erotic feelings, even though he enchants the whole universe.
Okay, now, what happens? Krishna is called Madana Mohana. Our biggest problem is sex desire. But when you start chanting Krishna's name, look at his beauty, the sex desire vanishes. And Radharani is called Madana Mohana Mohini. Krishna is so attractive that he can enchant even Madana, but Radharani enchants even Krishna. So Krishna is alone, is always thinking of association with Radharani. She is Madana Mohana Mohini. She attracts even Krishna. Yes, 217. Yes.
Both parrots then flew onto a tree branch, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to watch the dancing of the peacocks with curiosity. When the Lord saw the bluish necks of the peacocks, his remembrance of Krishna immediately awakened, and he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. When the Brahmana saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, he and Bhadra Bhattacharya took care of him. They hastily sprinkled water over the Lord's body. Then they took up his outer cloth and began to fan him with it. They then began to chant the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. When the Lord regained consciousness, he began rolling on the ground. When the Lord rolled on the ground, sharp thorns injured his body. Taking him on his lap, Balabhadra Bhattacharya pacified him. The mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered in ecstatic love of Krishna. He immediately stood up and said, "Chant, chant." Then he himself began to dance. Being thus ordered by the Lord, both Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the Brahmana began to chant the holy name of Krishna. Then the Lord, dancing and dancing, proceeded along the path. The Brahmana was astounded to see symptoms of ecstatic love exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then became anxious to give the Lord protection. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love at Jagannatha Puri. When he passed along on the way to Vrindavana, love increased 100 times. The Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he visited Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forests of Vrindavana. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavana was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now, when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavana forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit. Thus, I have written a description of the ecstatic love Lord Chaitanya manifested in one of the places he visited while walking through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. To describe what he experienced everywhere would be impossible. Lord Ananta writes millions of books elaborately describing the transformation ecstatic love experienced by Sri Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. Since Lord Ananta himself cannot describe even a fragment of these pastimes, I'm simply pointing out the direction. The whole world became merged in the inundation of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can swim in that water to the extent that he has the strength. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri and Sri Raghunatha, always in their mercy, I, Krishna Dasa, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps.
This is the last shloka, always like this. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Padayar Asha, Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa, praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Dasa, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. Nice to hear. So pleasing. So purifying.
Hare Hare Krishna.
And just as we get purified chanting 60 now, same thing we get reading one chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, so pure. And you better it, you read slowly and read with the purpose, that will be better read. Hare Krishna Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, nice session today.
Jai.
Hare
Chaitanya
Krishna
Charitamrita ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Prabhuji, tomorrow next chapter.
Are next chapter. What is the difficulty? Next chapter. Okay? What is the title of the chapter you put? Okay?
No, I was confused that it's not the next chapter or some else chapter. That's why.
No problem. See, now the next chapter, what is it coming? We are going chapter now. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visit to Sri Vrindavana. Next one again. We'll go deep inside Vrindavana. Okay? Chalo, we'll read now. We'll enter into Vrindavana. Now it's approach Vrindavan actually. He is approaching different other forests of Vrindavana. Okay?
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So please keep hearing. Chaitanya Charitamrita is very, very purifying. We're just reading the surface, only the translation. Imagine read the shloka, the translation, meaning, and read the purpose. It is more intense. But let us outside surface touch, but it is also very sweet. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. We'll meet. Hare Krishna, Puja Vrinda Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. So the next session is starting on 5th April.
Time is there.
So there's still time. So a lot of registration has taken place.
Okay, not very. We just touched 10,000, 7 plus 3, 7,000 elders, 3,000 children.
Yeah. Gave it in the message. I saw it in the message.
Yeah.
So before
Yeah,
that, bridge course will
also
end.
very good. We enjoyed the evening
Bridge-
program.
This
Oh,
bridge
yesterday,
course-
you know what thing? You have
Huh?
to come here. We had, when the children program started, we switched off our audio. We had a huge Harinam here.
Yeah,
We-
very nice it was.
But you could not see that.
I want to be in that.
You didn't know. Because children program, we wanted to do big kirtan. On Gaura Purnima, main thing is big kirtan. How to do big kirtan? The children program started. I said, okay, let this continue. Switch off our audio. Let us have kirtan. They didn't know.
We missed very badly that kirtan.
Yeah,
That is
hopefully when we can travel and the times are safe, we can come.
Yes, welcome. Now till that time, online you enjoy, no problem. Correct?
Yes.
So this time
Yes.
the registration of kids are more, I think, than last time.
Better, but still. What is the time you wanted, Mataji?
Yeah, I wanted
9
that somewhere in the evening at this time.
Time. You like 3 o'clock, you like 5 o'clock. So just write to me. Whatever time you want to
Yeah.
take.
5 o'clock is better. 4 o'clock, is it okay?
You write to me. I'll just see.
Okay, yeah, sure, Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.